Okay, we're going to be doing a Land Rover Sport. So we first go into IMMO, accept, Land Rover, accept. We're going to do manual selection. Range Rover Sport. Blade key. That all looks correct. Control unit. Key writing. Now we're going to open this tab here, and it's going to give us all the details of what we have to do to make a key. This is all keys lost is what we're looking at here. So the module that they're referring to is the onboard computer, the MCU. You have to read through all these little details and all the notes, make sure you get it all right. And here is a diagram of the computer. I'm gonna open that up. Okay, here. So you can expand this so that you can see the detail a little bit better. But what we're going to do is we're going to wire this up according to the instructions, and then we're going to attach it to the XP400 Pro, to these connections here and these connections here. So here's our XP400 Pro. Here are the one connections you can see on the side, and here are the other connections right here. So those correspond with these and these. And here's a blow up of those. And here are your solder points. Each of these solder points right here. So once you have all of these attached, and these then attached to the XP400, and it doesn't show this on here, but in the notes it talks about it. If you get a failed reading, you may want to attach 12 volts directly to the XP400 Pro. And initially when I attempted to do a read of the MCU, it did give me a failed read, and I attached 12 volts, and then I was able to go through it just fine. Okay, here's the unit already set up and prepared to be programmed. All the wires have been soldered into place, and the 10,000 ohm resistor has been soldered into place. It's ready to go. One thing I'd like to note is I use 28 gauge wire. It's extremely pliable, and you see it just moves around nicely, and as it moves, it doesn't affect the solder joints. It doesn't put a lot of stress on those joints being this thin. If you use heavier gauge wire, you end up putting a lot of stress on the solder joints, and when things are moving around, you could end up damaging something. So I use that size of wire because it works very well. We start with IMMO, accept user agreement, hit Land Rover. We're not connected to the car, so you have to just pass through that and then do manual selection. And we're doing a Range Rover Sport, and the year is 2005. And we're doing a blade key. Everything looks correct. Go to control unit. Then we're going to start key writing. So first we got to read the MCU data. Since this is on the bench, everything is hooked up, and we then go read the EEPROM, and then we're going to download that file onto the 508, and then once we download that file onto the 508, we're then going to rename that file. So that's the process that's happening right now. So now when we save the data, I usually do it twice. The other file that you see is the first time I did it. I always want to back up. I never trust just one file. So I rename it. You can rename it anything that makes sense to you, and then we're going to save that. And it's from this file that we're going to work from that we're going to install the new keys to this file. So now we're going to go to make a key, and as you see in the next page, once we get to the key file, there's going to be 5 keys that are already saved. Now in this situation, it's all keys lost. So we're going to overwrite the first 2 keys, and then we're going to erase the next 3 keys. Now, if you have a situation where you're just adding a key and you're having to do this on the bench, Xtool makes the Xtool Max, and that tool can take a look at the key and read the key and tell you which one of those file selections are an actual key, so that you don't accidentally overwrite that file. So we've now programmed the first key. We have to put it in the XT400, and the first key has been generated. So now we're going to go through the next step and generate the second key. So we're going to move the cursor over to that second slot, and then we're going to hit add a key. And then we will take the original key out that we made, and then put in the second key to be made, and then hit OK and go through the process of programming the second key to the vehicle. So now that that's successful, we're going to then erase the other 3 keys, the last 3, position 3 through position 5, because those keys do not exist. And after we do that, we're then going to write the file back to the computer, the onboard computer, and then once we do that, our job will be done. So here we're erasing those last 3 keys that we know do not exist. So now we back out of this screen, and we're going to go back to the right key option, or write file option. So this is our new file name right here of the keys that have been written successfully, and that's the file that we'll upload back to the onboard computer. So now we'll hit write MCU data. We'll then go hit EEPROM, and we'll select the correct file to upload, which will be our last file. In the times, each file has a timestamp, so the latest timestamp will be the latest file, and that's the one we're going to upload. The file before that is the file that we downloaded, and that file has not been modified. If you somehow corrupt the system, you can go back to that file. That's why it's important to have more than one copy. So if something goes wrong, you can go back to an older version. If you don't have that, that's what they call bricking a computer, and then you're stuck if you don't have something you can go back to. So now we're writing to the computer, and once we have a successful write, which we do now, our job is done is for the key side of it. We still need to go back and go to the remote relearning, which is what we're going to go to now. And then that's going to give us a manual process. If you look at this process, it does not need a programmer in order to program the remote for opening the doors, closing the doors in an emergency. So that's a manual process. So our job is done. We can reinstall the computer and then start doing test functions to make sure that everything